I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me, oh you matter what. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me.
Is your goal to be a millionaire before the age of 30? Because if it is, this is your show. We are really excited. This show is going to absolutely blow you away today. I am one of your hosts, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP.
I am Ryan Zolin.
And we've got Albert Bowie over here to make sure that everything is clean and we are looking good for the show. And if there's any questions, he's going to chime in and give us some perspective. So today's show is really exciting, Ryan. This is like
I am hyped.
You full on display. This is your bread and butter. Your bread and butter is finding deals that are on the market. All right. Now this is going to be very interesting to me as well because like all of my deals come off market, right? So this is very exciting for me to really dig in there, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions as you're going through, and you're going to literally break down a deal that you have closed, start to finish, how you found it, what made it stick out to you, how you saw the potential in it. But before we get to that, let's just get a little bit of mindset check, okay?
Absolutely.
And I think this is really important. We talked about it before the show, and we talked about how powerful the words that we use are for creating the right mindset to go out and achieve this goal of being a millionaire before 30.
Absolutely.
So some of the vocabulary things that we were talking about is instead of it being a problem, change the word problem to it being a challenge.
Absolutely.
Challenges feel like, okay, that's exciting. That's something that once I get past this challenge, this hurdle, it's going to be really, really, really rewarding. Right?
Absolutely.
What else?
So there's this like common belief that you just can't find deals on market.
Right.
And I mean, I'm sure you've heard it. I mean, like you just said, most of your deals are off market. So this belief that people have that it's too overpriced, it's too saturated, it's too competitive. You've got end buyers that are actually going to be moving into these houses that are willing to pay X amount of dollars more. Just like on the investment side, the most important piece is finding motivation. You have to find what the seller's situation is. And sometimes it's not as simple as just a conventional offer. Sometimes it's not as simple as, hey, I'm going to go VA. I want to go 30-day, 45-day close. Just like on the investment side of like off-market deals, you have a lot of instances where they need a quick close, 5-10 days. So we just really push for motivation, but I would say one of the biggest mindset hurdles that people have is that it's not possible.
Right. So you're saying like if people are saying in their mind it's not possible or it's difficult or whatever else, what would you change up? What word would you use to say? Is it opportunity?
Absolutely.
Is it
opportunity.
Options?
It's opportunity.
You know what I mean?
Opportunity all day long.
That's the thing. And it's really interesting. Before we even started the show, I think there was a comment talking about, how competitive wholesaling is and how congested it is and everybody knows about it. And is it really the right time to start it? I get this question all the time, right? Is it the right time to start my real estate entrepreneur journey because everybody seems to be going into it. Let me tell you everybody this. This has been the same speech, the same thought pattern, the same thing since I started. Since 2004 when I started, everybody would say, oh no,
is it the right time? Is it the right time?
There's too many investors. There's too much going on. Phoenix is too hot. The market's too hot across the country. Interest rates are incredible. There's too much competition. Listen to me. The day that there are no more ugly houses, the day that there's no more dated houses, the day that there's no more renovations going on in metropolis, in communities that have literally in our county, we have 1.3 million properties. It's impossible. I mean, that's never going to happen.
The opportunity is just endless.
It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen where the supply of opportunity outpaces the demand.
Absolutely.
I am telling you, there is just too many properties out there. You could drive anywhere, any street, any city, any place in America, and you're going to find properties that are in distress.
Absolutely.
You're going to find peeling paint and roofs that are going bad.
And the people that were on the fence of when's the right time, the right time's always going to be now.
Right.
Just jump in. The thing with the investment properties off market is it's so competitive, right? Why don't you just have that same belief about the MLS? If you're going to be competing no matter where you're at,
I love it.
Just go.
Preach,
just do it.
Preach,
Figure it out.
I love it. I absolutely love it. So really, it's just let's pull out. Like let's almost build a force field around ourselves of optimism, of positivity, of the belief and the faith that if you talk to enough people, if you go after enough opportunities, you are going to win. You're going to win and be an incredible real estate entrepreneur. Because listen, finding the deal is the bottom of what we call the 5 steps. Right. It's the first step. Matt, will you pull that up for us just so that everybody knows the 5 steps, the Millionaire Before 30 blueprint? Number 1 is do a deal. We're going to talk about real estate on here because that's where we find is the most success for people coming out of the gates and being able to do this without a huge budget, right? When we're starting out in life, we don't have a huge budget unless somebody gave it to us, and that's interesting, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about earning this $1 million ourselves, and it starts, number 1, with doing a deal.
Yep, absolutely. And this is what this episode's really going to be about, is teaching people how to accomplish in just one way how to do a deal. And this is, like you said, my bread and butter. This is what I've kind of perfected and made my forte in this industry. And dude, the opportunities of what could be done with on-market deals, whether or not you're licensed or not, I mean, I always preach to get licensed like we had in our last show, but you could literally triple your income just by finding properties on market.
Absolutely. Albert, how many deals will you guys do this year? By the way, Albert is Ryan's business partner. How many deals do you think you guys will do on the MLS? Off the MLS, I should say.
So you know what's crazy? When I first joined this, I had a goal of just 3, getting it done. And in the first month, we did 3.
Yeah.
So this year, we're aiming high,
I think
sky
we'll
high.
probably hit about 50.
50 deals.
Yeah, 50,
on the
50
on
deals.
the
60.
On the MLS.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. Well, let's not leave the anticipation. I think we gave enough time here. We've got about 7 minutes in. We should have enough people on here to start opening this thing up. So let's start. So you've got the MLS.
Yes, sir.
Let's talk with people that aren't licensed first. Okay.
Yep.
What are ways that they can squad up with a real estate agent so that they can get on the MLS? Or do you feel like there's some free resources that they can use?
I would say if you were looking for like the free resource, Zillow is always a good place just to start. There's a bunch of videos on YouTube of how to comp properties, how to see it. For me, obviously using tax records in Arizona specifically, I like just the amount of detail. It's a lot more in depth, and I've just obviously gotten familiar. It's my second language now, just scrolling through MLS and Monsoon to be like, it's not a deal, it's a deal. Move on.
First of all, for anybody, just maybe you're brand new, the MLS stands for Multiple Listing Service. This is where real estate agents, the Realtor, right? Realtor is an organization. The National Association of Realtors are an organization. When you get your real estate license, you have the option, you don't have to, but 99.9% of people do, and join the National Association of Realtors. And the carrot that they dangle for you to join is you get access to the Multiple Listing Service. The Multiple Listing Service is where you post properties typically for your for sellers, for property owners that you are representing if you're a real estate agent, to put it out into the market. And then from there, once it hits the MLS, it goes everywhere. It goes to Redfin, it goes to Zillow, it goes to
it's like Google, literally everywhere.
Everywhere. So it kind of goes everywhere. So there is access, but what I will tell you is this, and this is just from a lot of experience. If you've got straight to your veins of your business access to the MLS, you're going to be faster.
Absolutely.
And I'm telling you, because there's a delay. There's a little bit of a delay before it hits these free public websites. So squatting up with a real estate agent in your area is going to be key. You're going to want to get in there and you're going to want to work with them. And it partners up beautifully with them if you don't have a license, because they can get the commission. They can get
commission, absolutely.
And you're going to talk about that.
For sure.
So if you don't have your license, which most people don't, do not stop this. This is a perfect way to partner with somebody that is a real estate agent. They're going to get a huge benefit from it, and you're going to get some really big opportunities.
Absolutely.
So just, I mean, we're going to let this conversation breathe so that we can get your questions. That's the whole point of this show. show is to open this up for questions, but let's get going here.
Yep. So let's start, like you said, with people that are not licensed working these deals. When you're working with an agent, like you'd said, the agent's going to get paid the commission from the seller. It's never going to be your responsibility as a buyer to pay that. That is such a big piece of information that a lot of people get stuck on right from the start. They have this belief of, well, if I'm only going to make a $10,000 assignment and I have to factor in 3% of $200,000, that's $6,000. I'm only going to make $4,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, time out. Right before we even started, you have to understand you're not paying the commission. The seller is. I know it's very common for that buyer to pay all closing costs.
There's 2 checks in these deals.
Exactly.
Very simply, there are two checks in this deals. One is the buyer broker commission. That's your agent's commission. And 2 is going to be your assignment fee.
Correct. So in that first step, you have to understand the seller pays the commission. From there, we understand that we just have to have them represent us in the transaction. That's how they get paid. As a buyer's agent, part of the reason I could succeed so well on the side is that I did traditional real estate for my first 3 years. I understood very well and fluently not only how a transaction worked, but how agents think. So the minute an agent has this belief of, I have a serious potential client, you and I were talking before the show about hedge fund buyers. A lot of realtors are doing really well working with these buyers because it's just a numbers game. Submit so many offers. Here, when you're working with traditional agents, what you need to understand is that a lot of them would give away so much to have the opportunity to work with a cash buyer that could close in 5 to 10 days. So they'll
work 100% on it.
They will.
They'll be like literally like an employee.
Absolutely.
Or partner, whatever you want to call it.
Now imagine what if we had 15 to 20 agents working for you. Then it's just having them go and underwrite the properties, them go and do all the review and submit offers on your behalf.
Awesome.
So I would say being unlicensed, that is completely fine. Don't, like Brent said, don't turn off the show because there's plenty of ways you guys could do this business. A lot of people on my team that are not licensed still come across deals where we have the agents represent us in the transactions as well.
Love it.
So
let's open one up. Let's look at this. Let's first let's do the proof, right? Prove it. Prove it, Ryan.
Proof is in the pudding.
Prove it. Here is a settlement statement of one that Ryan closed here. You're going to see right there.
We've got Albert's LLC on this one. His LLC down on the bottom, you can see the 23 Investments LLC. We locked this property up, and you can also see the $11,375 commission came to our brokerage. So we represented ourselves as the buyer in the transaction, got 11 G's in commish, and then got the $20,000 assignment fee. And I believe we sold this one to our homies Lucas and Brandon, right?
Yep.
Shout out to them.
Did a beautiful job with it.
Okay, so total that's $31,000 from this deal that you found on the market.
Correct.
$11,375 in commission goes to the brokerage.
We have a split.
You have a license, right?
Got a little bit of split.
And then $20,000 assignment straight to the company.
Correct.
Fantastic.
And Albert, correct me if I'm wrong on this one. Was this the fun one where we got the big price reduction? We'll go through it in a minute.
Yeah, this one was the fun one. You're not going to believe what this thing was.
Yeah, this one. And I got to give a shout out to Albert on this one. We'll go through it. Let's just pop it up.
Okay. So you put in the address. Go find that listing while you're going. Now, as Ryan is pulling this up, we're going to look at. You want to kind of think of getting into Ryan's mind and what he's seeing here. What are the little telltale signs of why this would be an opportunity? Why would he go after this one, and how did he make $31,000 with a property that was listed? So let's take a look at what this looks like. All right, this is closed, obviously. Okay.
Yep. So we are going to start here. This is the front of the page. Every MLS is going to be different, so don't follow this line by line. I've had a lot of people that we coach that will hit me up and they're like, this doesn't look like your MLS. Every MLS is different. Not every MLS has the same features. There's the public remarks, there's private remarks, semi-private remarks in the armless MLS, which is the Arizona Regional Multiple Listing Services. What I want you guys to know that when we look at this, the first thing, I'm not looking at photos. A lot of people right from the start are trying to qualify based on condition. I'm trying to base it off of numbers. And I'm going to kind of contradict myself a little bit here because one of the key pieces that I want you guys to see, if you look at the original list price down here, this is where this was listed at before we got it under contract.
Okay.
It was at $575,000, and we're only 13 days on market. We were able to turn this around, and we got it under contract, I think, at $445,000, $450,000. What was our assignment fee? Was it 20?
I believe it was 20.
So we got $435.
Yeah.
So we were under contract at $435,000.
Okay.
We got this $130,000 off its list price, and
it was only on the market 13 days.
And that's what I'm saying. People have this belief that like, oh, it's got to be on the MLS for like 30, 60, 90 days plus.
100 days.
This
180 days. Yeah.
This 13 days. So right from the start, a lot of people would have been turned off saying that this is there's no way this could be a deal. we were able to build a little bit of rapport with this agent. And by a little bit, I'm talking Albert was on the phone with this agent for, I don't even know, it was 2 hours. Just building
there's
rapport.
a few good conversations between it. Just kept the communication lines open, so she knew, like, you know, I'm viable. I will actually buy this property and make your job easier at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And we knew in this instance, going out and viewing the property, which a lot of people can do virtual wholesaling and virtual locking up deals and everything.
Yeah.
With us, what I wanted them to understand was we went and viewed the property, which should give us a leg up. The only reason we did that in this instance was because I knew that there was 5 other offers on the table. So while I do say there's 5 other offers, we got it $130,000 under its list price. Those 5 other offers, every single one of them was higher than our offer. That's how much rapport we built with the agent, and she trusted us. We sent them our past deals, our current flips, our proof of funds, basically anything and everything we could just to show that we were reliable or viable. So from there, then if you go to our tax records, I can show you what made it pop up for us as to why it would be a good deal. Right from the start, we're surrounded by 570s.
Look at that. Do you see what it's going to be selling for here soon?
Yep. We actually we just saw that this morning. We pulled it up because they
680,000 they're flipping it for, right?
Yeah, and that's with the appreciation that we didn't assume that it was going to get. When we ran our numbers initially, I think we were planning 500 to 525 ARV.
Okay.
And so 600, 625, you're right.
Yep.
So them to get an extra like 50K on it is incredible. Super happy for them. They knocked it out of the park. For us, we want to check anything that's been sold in the last 6 months.
Okay.
I don't like seeing anything that is a year, just because obviously I think you can attest to this. A year ago from where we're at today, completely different market.
Yep.
Completely different.
And guys, this is for any deals that you're looking at. You really have to first. You got to see if it's 90 days. That's really, really, really strong. You can stretch it to 6 months if you need to. But if you've got enough comps in 90 days, that's really solid. That's going to give you a really good thumb on the pulse of what's going on in those areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so for us going 6 months, I was able to kind of just scroll around here and take a look at it. Once we saw that it was a potential deal, I sent Albert on it to talk to the agent. He had already talked to her when he set up the appointment for us to go view the property, so I wanted him to keep that constant communication going. But we had different pieces in the transaction where different people, part of my team, were able to insert themselves. So Albert kind of took the lead on it. If I go back here really fast, I'll show you guys our TC, Amber Adams. She was the one that represented us as the buyer side. She's a part of our traditional real estate team.
Okay.
So we had 3 different people involved in this transaction, and I wasn't.
So
really
you're going through. Give me your process here, because
absolutely.
I think there's probably a lot of questions. Listings come up all the time.
Yeah.
How do you pinpoint the ones that you want to go after and put Albert on a 2-hour conversation with the agent? You know what I mean? You're not going to do that with everyone.
No, one of the things that people should know is for this property, it's my backyard, right? I know that area really well. Location's really popular. So off the bat, when you're looking at the market, know your backyard. Know exactly how the market's playing, what's popular, where will people buy the most.
Right.
So this is one of the areas where like let's look into it. This is where people will buy it.
How do people get good at that are just starting?
So I like to look at transactions that are done.
Okay.
How many properties are selling every month? How many people are buying it with cash? And also, too, if it's your backyard, get in your car and drive around. Do you see dumpsters? If you see a bunch of dumpsters out front in the driveway or on the street, there's properties that are being remodeled.
Right.
I don't really go off of, I know a lot of guys like to say, 1990 and older, like go after those. For me, I've come across a lot recently that were 2000 and up. So I just like to go off of high turnover, and then obviously.
So are you looking at this? You see this and you go, okay, this is a good area.
Yep.
This property is not renovated.
Yep.
So I'm going to just try to build rapport and put in a lower offer and see what happens?
It's a little bit more in depth than that. We had to figure out the seller situation specifically, and I don't remember this one. Do you?
For
Looks like it's tenant occupied.
For this specific property, right? It's just like a regular off-market deal. You find the motivation, you find what's going on, but through the agent.
What was their motivation?
So their motivation for this one is I found out it was tenant occupied. Tenant was leaving. Owners had already moved up north. They wanted to build a cabin. This was the cash for the cabin. So they were there and they were ready for it. So I knew, all right, they want it done because they've already moved out. They just want the money to build.
Love it.
There's my motivation.
Do you want to see what I saw when you open this up? Will you go to the report real quick?
The report, yep.
Yep.
You got it.
So you see right there, everybody, that says public remarks. And I'm sorry if you can, I don't know if we can zoom in there. But yeah, there you go. Public remarks there. It's not, when there's an agent that puts like 15 paragraphs of all the greatest things and they're really selling it.
Right.
I'm like, oh, this is going to be tough. They're going to really be like tough to negotiate with. When I see somebody that just throws out very common language and it's barely anything,
right?
I'm like, oh, this is an agent that I can work with. This is an agent that just wants to move this deal. They're just putting it out there, and they're probably getting paid, whatever. And typically it's less if they're just putting this amount of effort into it. But I'm like, oh, okay. And you see that word right here? Investor opportunity.
Yep.
Right here. Investor opportunity.
That's exactly what I was going to hit on next.
That is what I'm talking about. So that's what pulled it out.
Absolutely. So when Albert joined the team, he was able to kind of fine tune our systems and processes. I was able to take like our top 17 searches, let's say, and I was like, hey, I've gotten deals in all of these 17 searches. So we were able to kind of put a system together where we were able to kind of fine tune and almost look through a magnifying glass
Custom
to find
searches.
Basically, but we coded the MLS so that every day it shoots out on an Excel sheet what our top opportunities are. And this was on our list. So right from the start, it popped up because of the word investor. And as you can see, investor's opportunity.
Is there a way, Jesse, I'm bringing you into this mix. Is there a way to do that? Look for key search words through Zillow or through Realtor.com or through Redfin or something like that.
You'd have to scrape it.
Is there a bot that you can build or a scraper or something?
You can find,
put the mic over to him real quick. Yep.
If you go on somewhere like Upwork or something like that, you can find someone that can code you like a web scraper, like a web crawler. They're pretty common and they're super easy to build for most people.
Awesome.
That would be the best bet, I think.
Right, so investor, fix and flip special, handyman special, that type of thing.
Yeah, and typically they should be able to, since they're doing all that coding work, they can probably do something to just drop it into an Excel sheet automatically every day for you.
Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean that was a big game changer for us. Obviously, I know not a lot of people have the ability to do that, but kind of jumping back here, this is why I don't look at the photos first. Because I want to care about keyword, and keywords are typically going to show a little bit more motivation or what the situation is. So right from the start, this was in public remarks. My favorite thing, and this is where I know most MLSs have this, they don't always have like the semi-private remarks down here, but they at least have an agent-only section. Let me tell you, we are held to a standard of ethics as realtors, but the amount of sellers that don't know that their agent that is representing them put in there, highly motivated must sell, needs quick close.
We'll accept all, we'll review all offers. This is the beautiful thing, and guys, real quick, Matt, just put us full screen so that this is like punctuated here. But listen, the reason you squad up with a real estate agent is because these are not public remarks. These are not things that are going to hit a public website.
It's not going to be on Zillow.
These are private realtor remarks that will literally, sometimes it shows, and you could talk to Pace Morby about this as well. Sometimes it'll show seller open to creative financing, seller open to being the bank, seller is ready to move, seller's already moved. They do these little remarks in there because, again, they want to sell this fast. They want it to be smooth. They want to get in a cash as is offer and get it as smooth and get it done as quickly as possible. So one, they can get paid, and two, there's not a tremendous amount of paperwork that they have to go through. So those go back one more time, Matt. This, guys, I am telling you, this is a cheat code right here. Will you zoom in on that private remarks? Look at that right there. When I see give 48-hour notice to show, I love that. You want to know why? Because most home buyers are so antsy and aggressive right now that for them to wait 48 hours, they're going to go see 10 or 12 other properties, and it's just a little bit of a barrier. It's a little bit that slows it down, and there's only specific times.
And they don't Friday and Saturday after 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and there's no showings on Sunday. So let me tell you, in a market where things are going quick, they put this up on, I think it was a Thursday or Friday too. So right when they put it up, they were only allowing showings from certain time to certain time.
Highlight that.
Seller never occupied the property.
Do you think that there is an emotional connection
Absolutely
to this
not.
property?
The emotional connection's to the cabin.
Right.
They wanted to use the funds to build their cabin. So again, this is why I don't even start with anything photo related. I want to look at the motivation. If I can figure this out from the report, I'll take not even more than 20 seconds on this because I'll figure out from our Excel sheet what was the highlight. Was it a keyword? Was it, like, we even have specific like motivations of, is it probate? Is it a pre-foreclosure?
Fix up needs repair.
Fix up needs repair is a section in there. But then I'm going to jump into tax records. From there, I want to just take a look around. I'm going to do a quick 20-second glimpse and see if there's anything in the same area that is sold. And I believe, if I remember correctly, we went off of this as one of our, no, this wasn't one of our comps. We had one that was like 600 something. And basically it was bigger than ours, so we were able to reduce our ARV a little bit down to like 600, 625-ish. And dude, I mean, I could tell you, I scrolled down here 2 seconds ago. I don't know if anyone else on the show caught it. We actually left quite a bit of money on the table. This was sold again by one of our buddies. Shout out to Templeton. We hit him up and he sold it. And down here, as you can see, we sold it from 435 to 455. He sold it from 455 to 495. So he ended up making 40 G's on that. We made 31. I mean, there was plenty of meat on that table. I don't like.
Well, listen. It's a young man's game to sell to your top buyers,
dude. Absolutely, and dude, I mean,
and you've got a great relationship with Templeton,
dude, and
so it all works out.
It all works out, and I honestly, if anything, it makes me happy. I'm the guy that I know a lot of guys that they would look at this in this instance, and this is a learning lesson, not even just MLS. They're gonna sell the deal off. And then they're going to see this, and their first reaction is bitterness. It's frustration. It's like, I could have done better. I could have done this. Dude, my homie ate. Like, I'm great. I asked for a certain price. I got my price. I have to move on. I got it. He made 40. Everyone wins.
All right, so talk to us about negotiating, and then let's open this up because we need to get to questions because I'm sure that there's going to be a lot here. And, guys, if there's confusion, good. That's the point of the show.
Right.
We're going to go fast through this thing so that you don't get bored and just, drift off somewhere. But here's the thing. We're going to show you this is a valid technique and open it up to questions. We're going to be able to get to your questions if you put them in the comments section. So make sure that you put them in the comments section and that way Ryan's here. We're here till 11:30 Pacific time. So we're here to answer these questions. So how do you negotiate this? This thing's listed at what was it?
575.
575.
Yep.
Okay.
So our first conversation line usually is, hey, my name's Ryan. I'm an investor here in Scottsdale. Came across your property on 69th Street. I was wondering if it's still available. It's very straight to the point, but the one key piece with me being licensed that I'm leaving out is, hello, I'm a realtor.
Right.
Hello, I have a client. I'm saying, hello, I'm interested in this. 9 times out of 10, you're lucky if you can even get the agent on the phone first time. But if you do, you don't want to drop the ball. So again, thinking like an agent, the first thing you want is for them to think that they're on the phone with an actual buyer. Because their first thought then is going to be like,
double dip.
I'm going to double dip this. I'm going to get dual agency. So psychologically,
which means they represent both the listing, the seller and the buyer. Now, not all states allow that, but a lot of them do.
And there's even times where you'll find a brokerage or an agent specific or a seller that doesn't allow the dual agency to go through. But my thought process is psychologically, that's the first thing that's going to pop up in their mind is I have the potential of maybe making, instead of 11,000, I can make 22,000. So from there, I'm starting off saying I'm a buyer. By the time I bring up I'm an agent, it is after qualifying everything else about the property that they are like, oh, well, I just told you everything that was wrong with the property. So we like to start off by, again, hello, my name is Ryan. I'm an investor here at Scottsdale. Came across your property. Is it still available? They're going to say yes. I'd be like, awesome. It looks like it's been sitting here for a few days. Can you tell me anything about it? I like to dive right into the condition. So from there, I'm not going in being like, well, what about the seller? What about the seller? I want to know about the property, the house.
That's it.
And the lines we like to use. This is some gold nuggets for you guys. Take my lines, take my script, and if you get the deal in Arizona, send it to me. But they have it where we basically say, what major repairs have you done in the last 12 months? What would you do if you were in my position? How is the kitchen, bathroom, backyard, landscape? And then more importantly is basically, what is the seller going to do after they sell this house? And when you ask them that question, they're going to tell you they have a house that they're building. They have a cabin that they're building up north. Oh, this is just a rental property. Oh, they're in California, whatever the case is. So then I'm able to kind of decipher a little bit of, okay, I know their motivation. I know their situation. I now know the condition of the property. And then we throw in some Sandler training. You probably wouldn't take an offer that was between this price and this price.
Before we get into that real quick, condition, guys, listen to me. I've been talking about this for years. If you talk to either the owner or somebody that represents the owner and you start asking about the condition, they're very comfortable. That's the most comfortable of the 4 pillars of pre-qualifying that they're going to be. Right? So it's condition, timeline, motivation, price. The beautiful thing about MLS deals are the timeline's already out the window. They're there. They're selling it right now. All right.
And
so there's
price,
no lead
they
follow
put the
up
price.
here.
You know,
right?
at least their ballpark.
There is if you're building that relationship with the agent, but not months and months and months. So start with the condition. It opens up. It makes the conversation blossom, and then all of a sudden you're getting motivation.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes, sir.
People are like, what are the secret words to find motivation. I say find the condition in their timeline. They'll tell you the motivation.
Absolutely.
They'll tell you the motivation.
If you were to get a perfect offer that were to satisfy what your needs were and you guys can move into the next location, would you be willing to sign a contract today?
Now, let's go into what you hit us up with. Now, this is a Pace Morby. This is a Steve Trang. This is a Ryan Zolin. Everybody's gone through the Sandler sales training.
Correct.
Right? So if you want to dip your toe into this, guys, there's an incredible book on You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar. That's the name of the book. You can't teach a kid. It's a ridiculous title, but You Can't Teach a Kid to Ride a Bike at a Seminar is the name of the book. It tells you some it gives you all of the basics of the Sandler sales training, and what you ask is you probably wouldn't consider. Every time?
Just about. I mean, for me, it's I think that's my best line, just because when you throw it out there, 9 times out of 10, you come across some snarky agents that are gonna be like, absolutely not. And then so then the next line is, well, I've seen it's been sitting here for 13 days. Hypothetically, if it were to sit for another 30, is their bottom number still this? You're basically asking questions where they're going to tell you exactly what the seller is going to say. Like, and don't get me wrong, there's been quite a few times where the seller's like, or the agent's, no way. And we'll still submit an offer. But then what we're noticing right now, one of our best strategies is actually the deals that are coming back after they fall through.
Of course.
So I drop a little bit of traps and I'll tell them like, hey, well, just so you know, like there might be a wholesaler that's going to come in. They're going to ask for an inspection period. It may be shorter than mine. I want you to know, here's my past flips that I've done, so I'm legit. And then at the end of the day, when that wholesaler can't sell the deal because they locked it up too high, who are they going to call? It's me.
I like saying, you know, if this transaction's getting a little wiggly, if it's getting a little wiggly, reach out to me. There's also a strategy, and these are some, you know, I mastermind with some other investors around the country, and one of them specifically, what he does is no matter what the property is, he looks for exactly what you're doing, filters through it, looks for those. If it's pending, doesn't matter. Sends in a backup offer.
Wow.
Sends in a backup offer to every single one of those properties and calls them up and says, listen, I just sent you a backup offer. If anything happens here, you let me know. Wow. All right? Now, if the price is crazy, if I'm crazy, you just ignore it, throw it away, whatever. But if it's something that you get into crunch time and you need to close this deal, I want you to know that I am here. And then he has his staff hit him up with an email and a text every single week and just follows that.
How's the escrow going?
How's the escrow going? Puts in that backup offer because maybe you missed out on it. Maybe it's buddy. Maybe they're selling to somebody that's one of their clients, or it's their cousin or brother or whatever else. Financing falls through. They can't do it. They don't want to do it. They get into a fight. Whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And then there's a backup. Just another little side note, a little tip there for everybody out there. There's more ways to go about this. But if you're looking at these properties, and even if they're under contract, there is some potential there. But if you get them active and you lock them up first, I mean, you're in control.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean that's pretty much our process, man. And then from there, it's just lock it up. And then what I've told everybody is that the beauty of how we do this, most people don't believe it, but like I did all my deals MLS and just referral from Realtor and made $250,000 in our first year of a signing.
That's it.
So I mean, if
$250,000. How old?
I was 21.
Right.
Yeah.
21 years old. 21 years old. $250,000.
And dude, that was Tucson.
And by the way, how do you not go crazy? Yeah, Tucson's ridiculous. But how do you not go crazy with $250,000 at 21 years old?
My bills are really high running a business.
Okay.
And so don't get me wrong, I'm all about the work hard, play hard. But for me, it was more of the responsible adult that, hey, if my overhead's 15 G's
So were you putting money into your business, growing it at 21?
Absolutely.
Where were you putting it that was so that you can get a return?
Oh, dude, I messed up big time. So I tried growing the team. I was trying to replicate a lot of the big dogs out here. And I was like, I need VAs. I need a Podio, a $10,000 Podio. I need to pay $10,000 a month in leads. I've got all these systems, processes, without even having actual systems and processes, because I thought that would help me grow. More bodies meant more production, obviously. And so then I realized.
Well, and this is a beautiful thing that you mentioned that. I felt the same way. Built a brokerage, had 70 people at it, did that whole thing. And what I found was every time that you bring somebody on, you are now financially responsible.
Absolutely.
And not only that, but that takes away from your creativity, in my mind, in a lot of ways, because you're focused here on making sure that everybody's getting fed, and then you're not advancing, you're not pushing the boundaries, you're not coming up with creative ideas to find deals off the MLS or put in backup offers or go after this segment or that segment of a distressed property leads. And then all of a sudden, you're so, and it was an ego thing for a little bit. You know, it was like, okay, I look at this big company, and I'm the one leading the charge. I'm the general of this proactive army and all that, and that was very cool. But it really shut down the
production,
production, creativity, and
the ability to grow,
and my ability to take the money home.
Right.
The ability to take it home and put it into investments for my family.
Well, like you said, they're your financial responsibility. When you add somebody on the team, I mean, you've got expense that comes with adding somebody. You've got the email, the systems, the accounts. I mean, you want to throw them on a dialer. You have usually add another $100, $200 a month and just getting another setup for it. So yeah, we grew way too quick. Going back to like what I did with it though, I just reinvested it. I started throwing it into real estate. I threw it into a few investment properties.
So when you say you had a lot of business expenses, that's also you buying properties.
But overhead of just the company of like operations. So
what's your overhead?
Not at this point. So at this point, I've scaled it all back down.
What was it and what is it now?
So Podio, I mean, that was $10,000 up front, and then it was like $300 a month in that. Leads, we're paying about $5,000 to $6,000 a month in leads between pulling the list and skip tracing. I had 5 VAs that were at $4 an hour, and I had to cut them back down to 20 hours a week because it was just way too expensive. I had 1 VA that was an assistant that was I bumped her up to $5 an hour, and she was full time. What else? We had an office building. We had
rental space.
And then we were running Google ads at one point, Facebook ads. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm missing a few things too.
So what was the overall monthly?
The biggest expense it got to at one point was $15,000.
$15,000. Where are you at now?
We're at about like $5,500, $6,000.
$5,500. Fantastic. And that's office space, that's materials, that's access.
And our biggest expense now is the office.
Awesome.
But I mean, that honestly for me, that was the biggest difference because it wasn't the systems. We were obviously able to build a little bit more of the culture atmosphere. And now with having smaller overhead, it's maximizing profits.
When did you start buying properties?
I was 22 last year.
Yeah. So this is just, you bought it over the last 18 months, we've gone up 35%.
Yes, sir.
That's what happens.
That's where most of my equities come from.
That I know. Yeah. I know. You got $500,000 in equity, and it's from growing. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, listen, there's a reason why we're on here talking about real estate. I'm telling you, if it was more likely that you could do all this with crypto, or you could do this with Forex trading, or you could do this with drop shipping and all that, we'd probably be talking about that. But I'm telling you, you want consistency, you want something that's long lasting. They aren't making any more real estate, okay? There's only more people. Usually there's 20 million houses built every decade. We only built 8 million in the last decade. There's a shortage of houses. There's more people. The potential right now for the young people out there watching this that have that passion, that goal to be a millionaire before 30, it is bananas, all right? It is absolutely bananas what 18 months can do to somebody, grow at $500,000 in net worth. Come on now. That's absolutely incredible. We've got an incredible amount of people on here right now. So let's open it up to questions. Jesse, are we starting to get some comments or people wanting to pick this thing apart? Guys,
don't hold back.
Pick this apart. If you just jumped on and you're like, how do you get deals off the MLS? Fine. Whatever it is, let's go, man. Let's bring that energy. Let's put Ryan under the magnifying glass. Let's put Albert under the magnifying glass, and let's really pick this thing apart so that you understand this, because you need to get rid of the fears of working with real estate agents.
Dude, I mean, I have to give a shout out to Templeton there. I mean, I honestly, a lot of
Templeton
my business.
Walker, shout out
to Templeton. A lot of my business is replicated from him.
Yeah.
And let me tell you guys, like, I'm nothing special. If I can replicate a business that he did, and all it was Realtors, he wasn't really doing as much on-market MLS-wise. He was doing mostly referral-based from other real estate agents.
I know.
So a lot of times in these programs and stuff, you're taught about going and doing outreach with like title companies, attorneys, other wholesalers. Dude, the biggest relationship you could have is a realtor.
Well, Jamil's built a...
Look at Keegley. Like, that, I mean, this entire, just real estate agents. These are the guys that are in the trenches, that are doing it. Even if the agent isn't good, the odds of them coming across 1 to 3 opportunities for you a year, Why not? Why not?
No brainer.
No brainer.
You will get 3 deals a year.
Easily.
No doubt about it if you follow this.
My top VIP, like 10 realtors, every like for the year, they will bring me about 3 to 5 transactions.
And is this before they hit the market, or is they putting it on the market, or what is it?
Mixture of both.
Got it.
Know if it's on market and they struggle to sell it, I'm their first call. Yeah. Otherwise, I've got a lot of them trained that if they walk into a house and they're like, man, this condition is bad, it's going to reflect on me, my brokerage, I may not be able to sell it, they're going to call me. I'll let them double dip. My only thing that they know is that I'm not paying their commission. So.
Well, listen, my disposition manager, Billy Bell, my former, I should say, disposition manager, Billy Bell, all he does is deals from realtors. And that dude spends like half his time in Croatia and Colombia.
I just talked to him a few months ago. He was in San Diego surfing.
I mean, he lives in Encinitas, and he does business in Idaho. He does it in Phoenix. He does it in Nevada. Listen, there is no stopping this. It is a huge potential. It's still having conversations, but if you build and build that stable of real estate agents that are finding these properties that need love, these properties that need renovation, it's a huge advantage.
I would even like to do a comparison here, and I'd love your opinion because you're mostly off-market transactions. Would you say that when you call properties, you are the only person that's calling the seller?
No, God, no.
So in the instance of having to compete against, let's just say, even 5 other people on the MLS, in my opinion, I would almost say if you less competition on the MLS.
Less competition.
Right now, don't get me wrong. I'm the guy standing on top of the hill saying MLS, and I'm seeing a lot of people take what I teach and competing against our offers. But I mean, still 5 to 10 people. Who cares?
No.
It's all about your systems and knowing how to jump and which properties to jump at, just like it is on the investment side.
And building the relationship with the agent.
Literally.
I literally think that's like something, that's what sells most for deals. It's relationship with the agent. Because what I learned real quick, every offer looks the same. Yeah, prices differ, but it's still a piece of paper. At the end of the day, you need that agent to not sell your offer. It's selling the person behind that offer.
That's it.
That's what makes it close the deal.
That's it. Love it.
Money.
Love it. Let's open it up, Jesse. Let's see what we got. Let's open it up to comments, guys. This is going to be wide open for the next 50 minutes. So 50, not 15. Okay, Kokado, what are tips to get your offer accepted with an agent?
I mean, that was it. You need to sell yourself as the person behind the offer, that you transfer your certainty that you're going to buy it. You're a confident person. Because that deal that Ryan went over, that agent called me back and she's like, oh, I took your offer. It's not as high as the other offers, but I told the clients, like, you're such a nice guy. Like, I had such a great time talking on the phone with you. I felt confident you would buy the house. And that's all it is. It's building and ensuring, like, hey, I'm going to actually buy the house, perform, make your life easy, commission everything, done deal.
Love it. Love it. So listen, 2 words, Kokado. 2 words, honestly. Certainly, you said it. You said one of them. Certainty and likability. I'm telling you, certainty and likability. And if you get in front of them enough, it is over communicating. Right? I found as a real estate agent, I would get most of the deals that I was competing with because I was more aggressive. And I'm not saying aggressive with my tone. I'm not saying aggressive with my offers.
Persistent.
I'm saying exactly.
Persistence.
Exactly. I was there. I was like, hey, listen, anything you need. What do you need? Tell me just anything. Tell me what your seller needs to make this happen, and we will make this happen. Like, help me out here. Like, we can make this as smooth as possible for your property owner. Like, just tell me what you need.
Absolutely.
And so it's certainty and likability, and just be over communicating with them and being there. Even if you don't get the deal, communicate with them, like you said. Yep. Awesome.
Ooh, okay. Drew says, can you wholesale a property that doesn't need too much work? Like, it already looks fairly renovated. Would buyers still be interested? As long as they're getting it at a discount. Well, it sounds like you answered it yourself there. Yes, there's a lot of people that are more of the buy and hold investor. Going back to what I had said about me doing the 5 buyers and doing $250,000 in assignment fees, what I want you to understand is out of my 5 buyers, 3 of them were other wholesalers that had really good connections to buyers. Templeton, shout out again. 2 of them were actual buyers. One of them being my father, one of them being someone that I knew was a buy and hold investor. So what I want you to understand is I had a pretty good diversity between my 5 buyers. So many people get caught up, I need 50,000 buyers, I need all these people, whatever. If you have a buy and hold person that is looking for property that is still under market, I would say there's a very good niche out there for people that are looking for just a slight discount. Someone that could buy a property that, let's say it's maybe at 85% and it's a condo, they're going into it with 15% equity. So they're very, very, very ecstatic about those deals. As for if you're looking to wholesale it to like a fix and flipper, the spread probably won't be there, but you never know until you talk to the agent and try to build rapport and see what the seller's situation is. Maybe you could get them down in price.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If it's on the market and it's in decent condition, condition, and it's not getting picked up very, very quickly in this market by a traditional buyer, by somebody that's going to get a conventional loan, a VA loan, or an FHA loan, if they're not going to get any of those, if they're not getting it, typically it's going to be way overpriced. Yep. And now you have to really you really have to negotiate. And if it's in pretty decent condition, typically it's going to sell conventionally. Let's just be honest. It really is, because it's exposed to everybody and there's a lack of inventory. So I would say, one, obviously you want to get everything at a discount. So if you can get a clean house at a discount, that's a home run. Right. But for the most part, I would focus on the ones that say handyman special, fix and flip, fixer upper, these type of things, these type of keywords, as opposed to just putting in offers on, houses that are really clean and in good school districts and in good areas. I think you're going to spin your wheels a lot there. You might be able to get one, but it's going to be few and far between. I would look for the property. Still stay with the thought of distressed property. What is the distress of this property? What is the problem that a cash as is offer is going to solve this property owner? That's the question. Will they trade equity or potential equity for that speed and convenience of a cash offer? That's what you want going through your head. Okay?
Clip that.
Yep. Awesome. Chris.
Agents will require proof of funds for a new wholesaler starting out, as an example. So how would you suggest they go around that? There's two options here. Option one, you partner up in JV with somebody that has the proof of funds. Option two, there's this thing, google.com. You could look up proof of funds letter, and I promise you there's going to be 50 websites that pop up.
Yeah, there's a lot of proof of funds. Also, Chris, honestly, you're going to want... for this strategy to really take off and you feel really confident dealing with people that are in the industry, they speak the language, this is what they do all day, you're going to want to have a financial partner. Yep. Right? Just find anybody. Literally go to any meetup group.
Call me.
Right? Any meetup group, yeah. Any RIA, any Facebook group, just find somebody that is doing really well, has a good reputation, and just say, hey, listen, when I find these really great opportunities, would you want to partner up with me? And they will always say yes. I'm telling you, the people that do this all day long, they have unlimited funds.
And another option too is, if you are looking to get in the fix and flip game, build a relationship with a hard money lender. They will type up a letter for you.
Letter of credit.
Yep, letter of credit.
Yeah, or letter or approval letter or something like that, Chris. That'll work
credit
as well.
Line.
And but yeah, that shouldn't slow you down. And listen, if you're working with an agent, a lot of agents have those proof of funds letters themselves, because they're looking for opportunities. So I would just find somebody that's in the business that is interested in investing, and you can get that pretty easily. Just have your agent help you out with that. Yeah. Boom. Awesome. That's a big hurdle. Listen, Jerry Norton has a proof of funds for $97. I don't know what it's about. I've heard people use it. Jerry's fantastic. He's a good friend. But it's that's an option too. It's $100. I think. I don't know its current pricing. Trey, do realtors let you use your own contract?
Ooh,
I know
question.
Here in Kentucky, we have a standard contract that I love these
Solid
questions,
question.
bro.
Money.
Standard contract that realtors like to use, and it is not assignable.
Cool.
How do we overcome this?
So most realtors I know are not going to let you use your own contract. The only time that we ever have done that is when we submit it directly to the realtor, and then they still have their listing agreement talking about commission between them and the seller. It gets a little sticky when you have two different documents going to title. What I will tell you about the standard contract, let the realtors use that. The biggest thing is you want to let them have certain wins in the transaction, because you want to be the easy buyer here. When it says it's not assignable, there's two things. You could put and or assignee in your contract if you'd like. Option two, double close the transaction.
Yep. Yeah, and Trey, that's really interesting that the realtor contract is not assignable.
With equitable interest, you should be able to.
It would have to say that in there.
Yeah.
And what you can do is, Trey, is cross it out.
Right.
Cross out just that section.
Cross it off and
you know what I mean? Cross out that. We're not attorneys. Talk to an attorney. Talk to the title company.
Additional terms.
And then there's additional terms tab where you can put and or assignee.
Yeah, that's actually, and you don't even need to put and or assignee.
No.
You could put buyer has the right to sell this contract, and there's verbiage you could put in there, like Brent said, talk to an attorney, but there's verbiage you could put in the additional terms that would subside an assignment verbiage to satisfy that.
Trey, listen, talk to your closing attorney or escrow officer. I'm not sure if it's
I don't know in Kentucky.
if it's an
Not
attorney
sure.
state or not. But in Kentucky, if it is if it's an escrow, just talk to either one of those and just say, hey, listen, what do I need? What are you seeing in purchase contracts on the standardized realtor contract that make it smooth for the wholesale deal? Just have that conversation. Listen, be brave about it. Just go out there and just have these conversations with these people. I'm telling you, listen, I was scared to death. Honestly,
Dude,
at
me
22
too.
years old, I got out, didn't know anything. The first time putting together a contract, I was like literally shitting my pants. I was like, oh my God, I don't know what is going on here.
Yep.
Like, and then you realize it's just filling in blanks, and then you're like, okay, that's cool. And then, talking to a title company, I was like, oh my gosh, these guys are so like they're dressed professionally,
Yep.
and they're in suits, and they're in like blouses for the ladies.
Right.
All these, they look great. Oh my gosh, it's so intimidating. Listen, they love you.
They love you.
They don't they don't
They're
get
nothing
paid
without
unless
you.
you're
Without you.
around.
Yep.
You are the start. You are the spark of every single transaction.
Yep.
So they love that relationship. Reach out to them. Certainty and likability. Listen to me. Look at me deep in my eyes. You can do this. You can do this. Like, just reach out to these people. Just set up these little relationships. A realtor and the title and escrow or closing attorney, and just have those conversations with certainty and likability. And I'm telling you, the doors are going to open. That's you're going to look back on it like I do, like Ryan does, like Albert does. You're going to look back on it and be like, oh my gosh, that's so silly that I even worried about that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just don't worry about that. Just take action, have those conversations, follow the instruction that I'm giving you right now. Boom. There you go.
So how do you tell the agents that you're a wholesaler? We don't. There's this philosophy of it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission. When you go and you start referring to, hey, I'm a wholesaler. Hey, I'm assigning this contract. Hey, I'm not actually buying this, but I'm going to get it under contract with your seller that you represent, and you have you have their best interest in mind. I want you to understand you're going to freak them out. So what we do is when we go into these transactions, if they are ever like, well, what's this other LLC or what's this? 9 times out of 10, we're double closing these transactions to begin with. But what I want you to also understand is if there's the case like where they're like, who is this? What is that? It's somebody I'm JVing on this deal with. It's my partner. It's who we're going to be going in. We're doing this deal together. They are the money finance portion of this. And then they usually have the question of, well, what is this $20,000 assignment? We're using that. We're freeing up some liquid to put into our flip. At that point, if they have an issue and they start complaining about, well, why are you making that $20,000 fee? I want them to have a very real conversation with themselves and their seller. You asked for X amount of dollars. You got X amount of dollars from me. At the end of the day, we signed a contract. What I decide to do with this, if it's even going to my partner that we're partnering up on this deal and we're using it for the flip, they really shouldn't be upset. So I don't recommend telling them that you're a wholesaler. I don't know if you have a different opinion of that, but we don't want to blow up the deal. We don't want to rock the boat. And I think you even said at the beginning of the show, most of the time these agents, they just want the deal done. So
yeah, it's very rare. I mean, listen, I looked at a lot of closing statements and didn't realize what an assignment fee was for a long time. Right. And I was an agent for a long time. So one thing, it depends on which agents you're talking to. If you're talking about the agent that you're going to partner up with, have that open conversation with them. Tell them that you've got a network of buyers is what you're looking to do. Or find the thing that's going to give you ultimate confidence is have the ability to be the buyer. Have the ability. Literally. Like, you can't just go and just, throw it out there and say that you're a buyer without the ability to be a buyer. That is playing with that whole fraud situation. So find somebody in your market. Hey, if I find a discounted property, will this work for it? Will you be my financial backer? Yes. Great. Now I've got my person. Now I've got that confidence.
Now you're a buyer.
Now I'm a buyer.
Now you're a buyer.
Now I'm a buyer.
Yep.
So now you're going out there as the buyer. Now, as a buyer, do you have the option to assign that contract? Yes.
Yes.
Do you have the option to close that deal? Yes. Do you have the option to cancel that deal? Yes.
And even so, I mean,
That's the
I
difference.
would stick to the double close method. In my opinion,
Sure.
It's always good to be able to double close.
Well, we just had an assignment fee on the example, so we could get it. We'll get into double closes in a different. That's a whole
other episode.
Whole barrel of monkeys there that'll pop out.
Right.
So yeah. No, Listen, if you're talking to an agent, be the buyer. Be the buyer. Be the buyer. Be the buyer. I've been telling. I've been just standing
you said that
on.
Much better than I did.
I'm just standing on like my soapbox here with that confidence that if you know that you can go and close that deal with a buyer, one, it's going to keep you disciplined to make sure that you're actually locking up real deals, because a real investor is not going to give you the funds for it if it's not real.
Right.
And two, now you've got options. Maybe you do want to close that. Maybe you do want to close that. Maybe you want to close it and clean it up a little bit, put it right back on the market.
Yep.
Maybe you want to close it and just, put some carpet and paint and make, instead of $20,000, make that additional $40,000, that additional $50,000.
Right.
Right? There's a lot of options there, but find somebody that's going to be your backer so that you have that confidence going forward with that certainty and likability. And I'm telling you, your whole life is it's gonna open wide open when you go with that confidence. If you imagine this, you're walking around with $10 million in your back pocket, right? Because that's probably the potential buying power that a traditional full-time real estate investor has. Yep. Because really, you need 10 to 20% down, and they're gonna have $1 million. They're gonna have $2 million. So their purchasing power is $10 million, and now you're part of that. Come on. You're unstoppable. There you go. It's called leverage. Leverage that relationship. Samuel, where do you get a list of realtors to connect with?
So my favorite thing that I love to tell people to do is go into a Facebook group. Like, most of your posts, they'll get 5 to 10 comments. You go into a Facebook group and you say, hello, I'm looking for an investor-friendly realtor in whatever city you're in. Dude, you're going to hate me with outreach, because this is where you want to talk about disqualifying who the bad agents are. The good agents are going to be the ones. I just did this 2 days ago. We're looking for an investment property in Sedona, and I put in the Facebook group. It was just for Arizona real estate agents. It wasn't even like one of those groups that has like 50, 60,000 members with all the moms that are going to comment 100 times a day. Mm-hmm. Like, this was just realtors. I had like 20 comments of people. I had 5 that reached out to me and called me yesterday. Mm-hmm. Granted, it was a day late, but they reached out to me. I didn't even have to call them.
Right.
Now I only have 12 more. I have to go through and just message myself and be like, hey, I'm looking for this. Go find it. That's it. So Facebook for me is my favorite thing.
I'm telling you, it'll be your most commented post of the year.
Literally.
I'm telling you.
Literally.
It'll be, if you put in, I need an investor-friendly real estate agent, you're about to get blown up.
Everybody's an investor-friendly real estate agent.
Yeah.
Everyone.
That's it. So it's not hard to find. What I would do, Samuel, and this is this is Brian talking about getting it from a perspective of buying those properties. If you're looking for somebody to squat up with, look for the people that respond that you know the best in Facebook, and just start that.
Even so, you'll see on that post, you'll see the same name commented 5 times. Yep. And I would challenge you, don't go to one that's just real estate agents. Go to one, like, for example, in Gilbert, there's like Go Gilbert, a Facebook group. It's got like 60,000 people in it. You could go in there and comment to 60,000 people.
Yeah. Community groups.
And all it takes is just that, like, you're going to get 50 wives that are at home that are like, this person helped me. This person helped my friend. This person I ran into in a grocery store. I saw this person. I'm like, okay.
Or husbands.
Or husbands too. Husbands too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I usually go off like what I see in those comments.
I know.
But yeah.
Samuel, if it's for somebody that you want to squat up with, just post it to your regular Facebook. If it's people that you want to get deals from, follow exactly what Ryan just said. Yeah. Awesome. Look at that suit, looking good.
Right.
Do I find the title company, or does the agent handle that?
You are always going to find title. I would say if you're in a market you're not familiar with, you can ask the agent. But again, this is just the control side of me. Just like I said to the last question, you can go to a Facebook group and say, hey, I'm looking for an investor-friendly title company.
Yeah.
You call the title companies that are recommended. Hey, I'm interested in bringing you guys multiple transactions per month. Are you familiar with assignments and double closes? And do you guys offer discounts and investment rates to investors? So I like that method.
You want to have control.
Yeah, pick the title.
The simple answer is you want to pick your own title and escrow officer.
Yep.
And are you going in with these offers? Are you paying the closing costs?
I am.
All of them?
All of them.
Seller too?
Seller too.
Sellers, title and escrow.
Title,
all
escrow.
That,
so
transfer fees, of HOAs, all that?
Correct. Fortunately for us, though, the title company we use, they have the investor-friendly rates. So when I double close, most time a good rule of thumb is 1% of the purchase price. So if it's $200,000, it's $2,000. I mean, that's $4,000 in closing costs.
Say that again so that everybody can put that in there.
The good rule of thumb for closing costs is 1%. So on average, if it's $200,000 deal, $2,000 is the closing cost for one leg of the transaction. There's two sides. So if you're covering both sides, you've got $4,000 in closing costs. The only time we don't is if we're assigning it, they still have to take care of their closing costs, but then we'll take care of all of ours. So
yeah, I love it. The advantage you have there when you're paying the closing costs is, hey, listen, I'm paying all the costs. I get a discount
I
here.
get to pick the company.
And so I get to pick the company. So if the agent is really fighting you on that, really try to pull them over with that conversation. Hey, listen, we're paying the closing costs. It just helps us out with the overall costs. They're phenomenal. I'll have them call you today. I mean, they are unbelievable at communication. I know that that's a big concern with new title companies that maybe you haven't worked with before, but they are unbelievable. You're literally selling your title company to them because you then have control and it makes it really, really, really smooth, and they understand what strategy you're using, exit strategy you're using.
They're familiar with you.
So but you got to sell it to some agents. Some agents are like, because some agents literally get sponsored by title companies. You know what I mean? They get some perks. They get to go to Suns games or the NBA games or NFL games, or they get these fancy masterminds where they go to like a steakhouse and have these really great meals and wine and all these happy hours and all this stuff. The title company wine and dine these agents, and they feel obligated to bring it to them. So they want to bring all of them over there. You have to convince them because you're paying all the closing costs, and they're going to communicate and be really great. The title company is going to. And
I mean, even take it a step further. Let's play it out hypothetical. I like to play out worst case scenario. And what happens if you go to a title company that is what the agent recommends, and let's say it's the title company that they use for all their transactions, and God forbid you never want this to happen, but it does happen. You have to cancel the deal. You're at a title company that's not familiar with the investment side. Those are the ones, we've had this happen a few times this year already, where they go to disputes. They're trying to keep your earnest money. They're trying to say that this was done illegally, this wasn't done right. And that's just from a standpoint of that title company may not have your best interest. So the last thing you want is to open up that can of worms and to just make another headache.
Yeah, work with your team. Your escrow officer is part of your company.
Absolutely.
So just
escrow, lending,
other all of it.
Attorneys, everyone's part of the team.
Awesome. Getting a lot of questions. A lot of questions from her.
From Michael.
Michael, here we go.
Does the process change if you are doing deals virtually? Nope. I've done deals in Vegas, California, Texas, Atlanta, Florida, Arizona, all with this method.
Yeah, Michael, I mean, most of this is virtual. I mean, most of this business is virtual. It's mostly done over the phone. Have you ever met any of the agents at the property?
You know, we have a lot recently. There was that one we didn't get in Gilbert where we went out there and we told her that she was going to mess up, and she did. We've had a few of those instances this year where we've met the agents out at the property. And,
most of the time, Michael, you're not going to be meeting these people. You're not going to be meeting the buyer.
95% of the time,
you're not meeting anybody. So this actually, I would say, is probably the strongest virtual marketing channel that you can do.
Yes.
I mean, it's just getting access to the MLS so that you have the fastest data and the most up to date, and you can get those private remarks that the agents have. And from there, the only issue you run into, Michael, is what we all run into when we're getting started. Is this a deal or is this not a deal? And that comes down to being really good at valuing the properties and understanding and building up your cash buyer database so that you know. So whenever you're going into a new market, deal or no deal, and then how big of a deal is determined by your cash buyer database. Because for the most part, when you get into a new deal, into a new market, I would say most of the time people are JVing with established wholesalers or investors to get that deal sold because you don't have enough cash buyers. So if you're going to commit to that, that's fine, but make sure that you are either doing a lot of volume to get to that, really nice golden goose egg, like really a good amount of income coming in, or you're going to have to build up a really robust cash buyer database in that marketplace so that you can squeeze the most out of every single deal.
And the only other thing that would change process-wise is the title and closing attorney. Other than that, same thing.
Yep. Awesome. Adam, Adam buys houses in Denver. All right.
All right. Would you prefer getting properties under contract before seeing the house, then negotiating more, or seeing the house first is a must? Peace and thanks.
Great,
Dude,
Adam.
Love it.
This is interesting because this is beautiful. And real quick before you get into this, this is the big difference, right? This is the big difference between agents, on-market properties and off-market properties.
Yes.
On-market, they know that you're doing an inspection.
Yes.
They're kind of expecting
the retrade.
that you're going to either ask them to fix stuff or you're going to ask them to reduce the price.
Correct.
It's already a thought in their mind. Now, some of them stand strong if they have a ton of buy, if they have a really good agent and they really have a lot of backup offers.
Right.
They're not going to reduce much, but oftentimes they do.
So what I'm finding about on-market deals, I love this question. This is great. Adam's super, super solid. For me, I will kind of correct one thing in here. Seeing the house, no, you don't need to see the house. This is where it is virtual for us, is that the agents a lot of times, I did give you guys the example earlier where what separated us from the 5 other offers was that we saw the property. That's the only instance when I will go see it, and it also has to be a slam dunk for me. So other than that, this is where it is virtual. You are just writing sight unseen offers. If you're getting kickback from the agents, I'm buying 5+ properties a month sight unseen. I don't need to buy this house. I want to buy this house. Let me just submit an offer. I'll see it during my inspection period, during my due diligence period. What I want you to understand, though, about getting it under contract then negotiating, 9 times out of 10 in these contracts, what's getting it done is you're putting that I'm buying this as is. There's a lot of times that agents are going to have some issues with this, even though there is one caveat here. Even though a contract says as is, technically every purchase contract, at least for Arizona, is as is. You then utilize your inspection period and the BINSR, the buyer inspection notice seller's response, during your inspection period to ask for a reduction or for credit to
heavy with it. Yeah.
Full detail.
I love it.
What I want you to understand, though, is that if you're putting as is in the contract and then going asking for a price reduction or repairs or whatever, 90% of the time, the agent does have a pretty good stance telling you absolutely not.
Right.
So I like to tell them that this is my case, and then when I go into the transaction and during my inspection period, aside from anything foreseeable that I couldn't tell from the photos or that you didn't tell me, roof is shot, AC, the pool was drained even though it didn't show in the photos, whatever the case is, my offer stays where it's at. I don't recommend going in, getting properties under contract in the MLS, and then expecting to get a price reduction. Does it happen? Yes. Do I recommend it? Not always.
Here's a great filter too, and I love that he asked this question because this goes back to old school, and we're really the last freaking 8 years here in Phoenix is agents would put in the private remarks, will not consider any offers that are sight unseen.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
They say, I am going to check the lockbox history.
Yep.
I'm going to check the lockbox. Each realtor has this electronic lockbox, and you have a key on your phone or a regular or a little key, whatever, and it records who saw it and when they went in and how long they went in for. Okay? These agents have a little bit of advantage there. Now, if they say, we'll be verifying your showing on the lockbox, I will tell you with all certainty, I'd probably put in, I don't know, maybe 50 offers on properties like that. 0 were accepted. 0. Because they are grinding. I mean, they are really, really, really on top of all of it. And they want to make sure that you've seen it. They're going to grill you. They're going to pressure you. They're
doing their fiduciary
responsibility.
responsibility.
Of everything. They're going to say you got a 48-hour inspection. You got 0 inspection. Your earnest money goes hard.
Right away.
Goes hard. And not only that, it goes hard, and the earnest money is deposited at escrow and released to the seller immediately.
Yep.
Okay. When all of these things, unless this is the smokinest deal of all time, which it won't be, because this agent is going to prevent that, walk away.
Just walk.
If they say we'll verify showings, no sight unseen offers, I'm telling you, you can try it. I mean, listen, test it so that you're not like, well, maybe Brent's wrong. I heard somebody got a deal that way. That's cool. You can test it. But I'm telling you, experience-wise, they're not selling those properties.
We did one last month where we actually had a situation happen with that where they said no sight unseen showings, and they called it. They accepted another offer because we submitted it. We didn't see the property. They called us back like I told you. They were like, hey, we fell through. And they were like, you saw the property, right? And I told RTC, I'm like, yeah, we saw the property.
Yeah.
They didn't check the log or anything.
Right.
They accepted our offer and
Yeah.
moved on. So it happens very rare occasions, but don't rely on that.
Yeah, it's usually with the second time around, they'll loosen their
Right.
guidelines a
Right.
little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
Good question, though, Adam. Solid.
Carlos.
No.
So the buyer pays for the agent commission, right?
Unfortunately, no. That is not the case at all. When we say all closing costs, we're talking HOA transfers, liens, if there's any closing costs that are just normal 1% of the transaction. The commission is paid for and will always specify that, always be paid for by the seller. It is not your responsibility as the buyer. We had a deal 2 months ago, 3 months ago. Do you remember that one where the agent was bullying me, trying to tell me that I'm paying the commission because it was her family member that was selling the house?
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I already cut them a deal, and I mean, I'm getting you guys a deal at $20,000 below its list price. You're paying my commission. And I was like, you have a listing agreement signed with a contract between you and the seller that says it's going to be 5% total. 2.5 goes to this side, 2.5 goes to this side. You're representing me in the transaction. This was a dual agency. Why would I pay your commission? If that's the case, I might as well represent myself and take that 2.5% and just come up in price a little bit. So yeah, moral of all that story, seller will always pay commission.
You know what's funny about this verbiage? This is old school. This is old school. This is something that I heard from Mike Mahoney's dad, Brian Mahoney. And he goes, I don't, because we were selling his house. He had this $1 million house in Gilbert. And he goes, you have to pay this commission. He goes, well, I'm not paying that commission. And I go, what? He goes, where's the money coming from, Brent? I said, somebody buying it? He goes, yeah. So the buyer's paying your commission. Right? The money coming into the transaction is technically from the buyer.
Technically.
So the buyer is paying it, technically. But in real life,
equity
it is coming from the equity from the seller. So it's coming from their proceeds, coming from their
seller's
side
proceeds,
of the ledger. There is no commissions without the money coming in from the buyer. It gets very confusing. I'm sorry I brought that up. But listen, this is what I'm here for. This is what I'm here for. All right? So, yes, if anybody tells you that, you're not wrong, but it is the seller that is paying the
sellers
commission.
should be paying it,
Yep.
We've done deals where we've paid commission. It's just like they've got to be a smoking deal. All right, from Luis. Is 7 to 10 days enough for due diligence? What do you recommend? I would say absolutely. The standard in Arizona, and I'd say standard throughout the country, to my understanding, is 10 days is about normal. To keep in mind that when you're competing against these MLS offers, you have to have some type of terms that are going to be a little bit more appealing rather than just like Albert said, everything is just an offer. What's going to separate you? So for us, our standard on my team is 7 days. We're not going to do like a 14, 15 day inspection period. With a lot of the competitive deals we're going against, it's 3 to 5 days. And a lot of times these agents are like, well, I have 50 other offers on the table. A lot of them are waiving their inspection period. My go-to line is, look, our contractor and inspector are at least 48 to 72 hours out for us. I need at minimum 3 days. I'm sorry. And I just need that for my own self. I need to sleep. I need to sleep at night knowing that I'm not buying a property that's going to be torn down. And if they say no, only occasional will we go and we'll waive our inspection, put up hard earnest money, but it has to be a slam dunk. To answer your question, though,
yeah,
yes.
Luis, if you know, yes, the answer is yes. 7 to 10 days should be enough.
Plenty.
I really like that. Some people teach to do an inspection period for the whole escrow. That will not work with real estate
Not
agents.
on MLS deals.
It will not work on MLS deals. If you try to do an inspection period for the whole time, an agent, that is a huge red flag to an agent. They will fight you on that if they even look at your offer. That's going to be looked at them. They will look at that as amateur. Okay? So you want to go in with a aggressive approach with these agents so that they decide to take your offer. Now, if they say that they don't want any inspection, and you know it's a smoking deal,
go for it.
And you know it's in a good area, and you've got good instincts, and you're like, oh yeah, rock and roll, brother.
Well, I mean, also let's compare it again.
Yeah.
Off-market deals. Do you not put up and I'm not talking like direct to seller. I'm talking when you wholesale the deal. Your end buyer doesn't have an inspection period.
Nope.
Your end buyer puts up hard earnest money. Take that same logic and put it into an MLS deal. If it's a smoking deal,
beautiful.
Done.
Beautiful
Done.
point. Beautiful point.
And the only other time I would say it's different is if you're specifying in land. Good rule of thumb is 30 for that.
Love it. Awesome. A1 Properties LLC. What do you tell real estate agents about showing properties to your buyers, especially if it takes 2 to 3 people to get it sold?
Dude, that's another good question.
It's easier, in my opinion. I mean, here's the thing, and you can get into it, but listen, agents expect it to be a zoo in the inspection period. They expect it to be a circus. They expect it to be like people coming in and out of the property, doing the whole thing. So it's actually easier because the agent does all the work with the seller. They say, hey, listen, this is when they're going to come by. This is when they're going to check out the property. So it's never been a problem. It's actually a lot smoother, but go ahead.
We actually just changed this recently where I'm not allowing a zoo of people to walk through. Like Brent said, though, agents, they are completely expecting this to be a zoo during your inspection period. Guess what? Like I just said, contractor and inspector, that's 2 different people. That could be 2 different days. The key thing is that you want to make sure your buyer's not walking in, talking to the seller, talking to the listing agent. You have to make sure that you are categorizing your buyer to the agent as an inspector or someone that is on your team that's going to check out the property. Then to your buyer, you're making sure that they understand you don't talk to the seller, you don't talk to the agent. If I know that the seller or the agent's going to be there, I'm going to show up with my buyer, and I'm going to be the one talking to the agent and the seller while the buyer does their little walk through the property. But at that point, during your inspection period, you're allowed to have as many people in there as you want. The only time that you ever have a catch is if there's tenants in there, you have to typically give them 48-hour notice to get in.
Hey, agent, we need to come in and see the property and take a look at it. Can we come in Tuesday between 2 and 4? Okay, great. Thank you. That's the conversation.
What I love to do with that, too, is exactly how we set that up. Beautiful. Then what you do is you tell your buyers, I'm doing a showing from 2 to 4. You tell the seller to get out of the property for 2 hours. Then you've got the 2-hour window for everyone to come through and see the property.
Do you find it's easier selling to just a select handful of buyers for these deals versus, I mean, I think that this is a really important point that we need to talk about here because if you blast this out.
Ooh, fun combo.
If you blast this out to thousands of buyers, if you have hundreds of buyers, thousands of buyers, the whole thing, and that agent sees it, it's a
fun combo.
It's gonna beat up that relationship. Not only that, all of a sudden you put it out to the public, you've got people stopping by unannounced. I am telling you, sometimes when we can put out properties. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we had one a few months ago. We got it on the MLS. We couldn't sell it to one of my 5 buyers. So one of our last strategies is I hit up a company kind of like Keegley, and I'll say, hey, I know you have the best buyers out there that are willing to pay a lot of money. This was in Gilbert. I knew it was a smoking deal. We were prepared to take it down as a flip if we didn't wholesale it. So that's a little bit different in our process. But our dispo wholesaler sent it out. We ended up getting 3 or 4 assignments on it. Super, super sticky. The seller in this instance was a cop working from home. One of the end buyers walks up and just starts pounding on the door like, I'm walking in. And the guy's like, I'm working, I'm in a meeting. Who are you? And luckily I was able to call the agent and be like, that was an interior designer. I don't know, whatever. But it made us look bad because we were out of our inspection period.
Were they interior designers?
Nope, they were the end buyer. But they ended up going out there and they were just harassing the seller. Harassing the seller. And they were blowing up their, knocking on the door. I mean, Albert, if you want to touch on that too, like that was just a...
Yeah, it was just a sticky situation. And it's kind of, you got to be careful with your buyers. Like blasting it out, that's definitely not the best thing to do in these type of cases because these are on the market and there are still people living there and their livelihoods are still happening. So be mindful when you're trying to send this out, get it sold, move the deal. But remember,
by appointment only.
Yeah, there's someone there, there's someone living there. In this case, this was a law enforcement officer. Like he could have pushed this many different ways. And luckily we were able to save it with the rapport that Ryan had built. Like, we apologize, like just bad scheduling. So won't happen again. So sorry. You know, like here's a gift basket for your client. So sorry again.
And we were able to amend that situation. It was all good, but had I not had the control of that transaction, maybe it was somebody new on the team or someone that just didn't know how to handle that. It could have blown up and that relationship would have been shot. That agent ended up bringing us another deal like a month and a half later. But again, like had that gone south, that very well could have easily.
I'm telling you, this strategy, I think it's really smart to have a small group of really legit. And by the way,
5 to 10.
You can partner with them. I mean, you can literally put together partnerships with them and be the buyers on these things. And get the benefit of a flip if they're doing it and get some percentage of that. Obviously, you can get paid by assigning it to them, but you can also partner up with them and get a little bit on the back end as well for finding that deal. It's a little bit That's going a little bit deeper. Right. But what I'm saying is when you build that relationship, off market, it's a lot easier to put out properties because it's not as exposed.
Yeah, it's not blasted out to everybody. It's not easily accessible. Zillow, Redfin, Trulia.
And there is a mystique to off-market properties that people are like, oh my gosh, nobody else knows about this.
Right.
If it's on market, you don't necessarily have that mystique, but if you bring it to people that really know what they're doing, that's how you take advantage of on-market
I'd say
properties.
5 to 10 buyers.
Yep.
5 to 10 buyers is what's up.
I actually like the strategy. This is just, as we're talking here, I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, I would just buy all of them. I would just get aligned with right? It's probably the strategy that you guys are going.
That's exactly it.
But I would just go, I would take all the risk. I would take everything out of this.
Yep.
I mean, after you get to a certain point, if you're building this up and you've got a good bank account, and now you can go and get a private money lender that'll give you most of it, right? You can say, listen, these are all the deals that I found. This is what I'm doing. Can I get a 90% on this purchase? And you put 10% down. Some of them go 100% in our market.
Yep.
In our market, they'll go
18% interest,
18% interest, 100%, and that's in a lot of major markets. You'll find that, and I would just close it, get it done, clean it a little bit,
put it back up,
put it back on the market.
Yep.
Or just sell it to my buyers that want it anyway.
Right.
It's a little bit more costly, but
taking it down.
I've got a license. All the cost is covered by getting the commission when I buy this property from the seller.
Right. And if you do it smart enough, you shouldn't have to.
Two checks. Remember, in these MLS deals, there's 2 checks: the buyer agent check and the assignment fee check.
The 100% loan too at 18%, they make you prepay your closing costs 2 months.
Right.
So if you're just taking it down and selling it, you technically shouldn't have any holding costs on your hard money either.
Nope.
So it should be very quick.
Yep. Good strategy there. Kimberly, is it worth buying homes owned by banks or, for example, Zillow?
We've done deals with banks, but Zillow is tough. I mean, I will tell you, even banks in this instance, a lot of times they're overpriced.
Yeah.
They're trying to sell for more than what it's worth, and they're okay sitting on it because they don't have many holding costs. Zillow and them, I'm not going to lie to you, I am still struggling to figure out kind of what their play is because they're buying properties at like 95% of the ARV, and then they're turning around and selling it for 100% of it. And it's like you're trying to make that 5% difference, but it's not worth even the 95% that you paid for it to begin with.
Yeah.
What someone's willing to pay for it is at 75 to 83%. But yeah, I'm not buying from banks or Zillow at the moment.
So what happens, Kimberly, and this is coming from, I was in an office that sold the most REO properties, and that's bank-owned properties. Real estate owned means the bank owns it. I was in a brokerage that sold the most in the whole state. And the way that it works is they get a very, very, very strong valuation for these properties. All right. You have to put in what's called a BPO, a broker price opinion. And then they will determine based on that where they want to list it. And then there is strict guidelines in the employment agreement that agent has that they can only accept a percentage under that for a certain amount of time, and typically it's in 30-day increments. So after 30 days, they're willing to accept stuff that's a little bit lower in a percentage range, and then it goes 30 days, 30 days, 30 days. So they can't, if you put it in a low offer with a bank, typically they can't even accept it. They're not even in that timeline to be able to accept it. And if it gets to that timeline and they keep reducing it to the point where the price looks good, it's not a deal.
Right.
Listen to me, Kimberly. It's not a deal. All right? If somebody hasn't snatched that up over that amount of time, it is not a deal.
Well, and also, too, if the bank owns it, it's because usually the person that had it defaulted. So if they have it where it is, like, think about it this way. Why are they not going to put the money in, renovate it, and then sell it for top dollar?
Yep.
So,
will you talk about your meetup real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to anybody that's here in Phoenix. Ryan and Albert do a meetup first Tuesday.
First Tuesday of every month. We were doing it bi-weekly. It just became a little too much for us. So we do it the first Tuesday.
Month's perfect.
Yeah, first Tuesday of every month. We just partnered up with Barrow's Pizza, so it's going to be in Chandler, off of Alma School in Germain. First Tuesday of the month. We are basically giving back. So we have a lot of people that offer money to get coaching from us and come out and see our operations. And so we decided to kind of just pull back the curtain once a month and say, let's meet up, let's network, let's figure out how to collaborate over compete. And if you guys have questions, I mean, the best thing you could do is be around the people that are doing what you want. So if you're able to pick my brain about whether it's MLS deals, how to build a team, how to be a millionaire before 30, whatever the case is, I'm an open book, and I would love to pour into the people that show up to those meetups.
Is it on your Instagram?
Yeah, it'll be on my
Instagram. You guys post it on there?
Yep.
Stories or will it be a post?
Yeah, it'll be
mixture of both.
Stories,
Okay. You
posts,
can't miss
anything
it.
to get.
Yeah, it's very hard to miss.
So
if you're
make
following
sure
us.
that you go to Ryan's Instagram. All right.
Appreciate that.
Yep. What is your Instagram, real quick?
Ryan Zolin, RyanZolin, and then you could follow Albert at Albert Bowie, ALBERTBUI, and then follow our team page, Zolin Group, ZOLINGROUP.
There you go, guys. Get in there, and by the way, get in there anyway. Follow them. Do you
Appreciate it.
target deals that are 90 days old, 120 days old?
Absolutely. Our market, as you guys can see from the one that's 13 days, in my opinion, if it's been on the market 10 plus days in Gilbert or in specific neighborhoods that we crush, it's been seen by my team. So targeting 90 to 120, guess what? Use the line that I said, hey, if you're talking to an agent, let's say, and they're like, yeah, they're not budging off the price. They're willing to sit on it. There's two options here. Option one, they may be willing to sit on it and it may not be a deal, move on.
Yeah.
Option two, the infamous line I like to use, which will tell you how motivated they are, is if this sits for another 90 days, if this sits for another 120 days, is this still their bottom number? If they say anything like, guess what? Hit them with an offer. So I would say yes, absolutely target them. You just got to make sure that the seller is aware that they're probably overpriced or that the condition is in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, and just look at it, Trey. It's the same process. Read the description.
Yep.
See if it's just something that, listen, there's a lot of people that just want to shoot for the moon. They'll just put their property on the market and they won't accept anything less. Right. It's worth having the conversation with the agent, but you can read between the lines on those comments and read between the lines. If they have a tremendous amount of professional photos, if they have a flowery, really engaging, really storytelling description of the properties and it's not selling, they have an unreasonable seller. Yep. There is no motivation there. I am telling you. So if it sits that long, what I'd be looking for, Trey, is did it go on the market, get under contract, come back on the market, fall out of contract, come back on the market, and that's what's adding to those days. Those are the ones that you're typically going to be able to squeeze something from. Yep. But if it's not, if it's just this beautiful listing that's been on for a long time, that's an uphill battle. That's a fist fight. I would move past those because there's other opportunities. Awesome.
Love it.
And guys, in the comments, just let us know that you're getting value out of this. If you want us to deep dive this anymore, if you have any suggestions that you want to hear about or talk about when it comes to being a millionaire before 30, building that up, being able to.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be real estate. It could be crypto.
Anything.
We're talking stocks. We're talking whatever it is. We can deep dive and compare.
Well, you can. I'll be over here like real estate, but you've got it all. Diversified. But listen, Trey, great question. Just watch out for that. Yep.
People are loving this. We got a ton of questions.
Good.
People are loving it. All right. Are you still doing PPC?
I'm not.
I am. We upped it to 15,000, Joshua. We've got a great company that's doing that, the Bateman Collective. And I'll put out some more. I'll do a whole PPC thing on the regular live show on Wednesdays, and we'll break that down. I'll bring in some experts, and you can pick their brains because they know a lot more than I. But I will tell you, it wasn't a pay-per-click. It was a cold call. Ryan Thornton just texted me. I was checking my phone while Albert was talking, like he's checking his phone while I'm talking. Albert. No, I did. And he said he just locked it up. He just locked up a deal
awesome.
that'll be at least 50,000. So,
wow.
Listen, as I'm sitting here having a great time with you and Albert and Jesse and Daniel and Matt and the close to 400 people live, $50,000 deal locked up. I'm telling you, this business is bananas. I mean, it could be a 60,000. It could be a 70,000. I got to look at this thing again. It is an absolutely incredible business. And if you just persevere, if you just keep pushing that boulder uphill, I'm telling you, it'll tip over and it'll start snowballing. Mm-hmm. It's just building up that confidence, and don't compare yourself to who you think you should be. That's like my theme of the week. Don't compare yourself to who you think you should be. That's just negative. It's toxic. It's poison. It gets into your brain, and it stops you from taking action, stops you from growing, stops you from being creative. So just be you today. Just take action today. And that person that you want to be, that person that you're chipping away at, that real estate entrepreneur, you're going to be that. You're going to be that if you take action today. If you're starting to really, really, really go out there and have quality conversations with distressed property owners or people that represent
absolutely
distressed property owners. So We got this. So
Love it.
I think that's it. I think that's the show for today. Listen, guys, if you want to do more of this, go ahead, Albert. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, like, at the end of the day, like, we're all solving problems, right? Whether it's direct to seller, we're getting someone out of a bad situation. On market properties, we're moving a house that traditional buyers wouldn't take in the first place. We're giving them to people that want those things. Then we're moving a family out that wanted to leave, getting that agent their commission so they can eat, feed their families. So we're solving problems, and the compensation comes after.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. There you go. Love it. And that is it. That is the show for today. Join us every Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's going to change a little bit here when time changes. We'll be on Mountain Time because we're crazy in Arizona. But we'll let you know. We'll let you know. Join us 10 a.m. on Thursdays. Millionaire Before 30. I'm telling you, it's all up here. It's all up here. You got it.
You got it.
Final thoughts?
Yeah, guys, thank you so much. This is obviously the bread and butter of my business is MLS deals, working with realtors. Feel free to drop below in the comments what you guys have questions-wise. We can bring them up in next week's episode. And also, it gives us more topics to talk about so that we can know what you guys are needing help with. And it helps us be able to expand and give the most value to you guys. So seriously appreciate you guys listening in if you made it this far. And I think this was a good one.
This is a great one.
Love
this
it.
is a great one.
Love it.
Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
I ran up a check, I might do it again. Enemies close, had me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, it's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me.